The real question here is, do the brokerages care? Do the brokerages care? Is it really more just about getting people in, throwing them against the wall and seeing who sticks? And the ones who don't stick, kick them out when they're not producing, have them sell homes to their family members and their friends, take a bunch of their commission, and then when they get out, say, see ya, and then get the next batch in?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the None Size Fits All podcast. This is season 2. Thanks for tuning in. I have an exciting guest today. My name is Jon Boller, and my guest is Robert Ott. He is the team leader of the Robert Ott Group, and he represents Compass, Washington. So, Robert, introduce yourself. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, John. Good to be here. I appreciate you having me in. I've been in real estate for over 25 years. Don't know exactly how long, but really like what I do. I'm always trying to get better, always trying to improve, and trying to change the world to make it a better place. Thanks again, John.
Yeah. You've been in business for 25 years. You have a team. Like the team, how many people, what's your operations look like? How many people actually are supporting you and your team members' growth?
So right now there's 10 agents and 3 support staff. So I have, we call it 5 senior agents, 5 more junior agents, and we have, we have a marketing coordinator, and we have a transaction coordinator and more of an office manager.
Got it. And production-wise, big year this year.
Big year. Our goal was to hit 225. We're going to get just a little short of that. Okay. But we're trying hard to make that happen.
Like, how do you see the kind of entire real estate community? And do you look at everyone as competitors, or are you trying to think about it as like, how do we do this all together and create a better unified community?
Well, certainly there is competition in real estate. There's competition in a lot of different ways. But I look at it like, at one point in time, I was working by myself. I didn't have any other agents except I had an assistant. And I was doing about 100 sales a year. And I was flying. I was thinking, man, I'm helping out a lot of people. Things are going well. Then I started to get older, and I looked up, and where is my wife and my family? They still know who I am. Yeah. And I thought, I need to find a better way to be able to help more people. Sure. And to be able to get a little bit of a semblance of a life back. And that's the reason why I started the team. Is I thought, the average real estate agent, successful real estate agent in Washington, is over 60 years old. Wow. And I thought, what are we going to do? What are we going to do in the future? How can I raise a new type of real estate agent where we start caring about other things? They go to more, I guess, old school values where you care about people and more than you do about the commission. And so that's why I started the team in the first place. That's how this all happened.
And the first time you sat down, that was one of the things that was fairly shocking to me because, working and talking to real estate agents forever, there's always this nature of like, that person is my competitor, don't work with them. And I asked you, can I work with one of your friends? And you said yes. And I was like, it's very different because you guys with, all the stuff that you guys do, you're competing for listings, you're competing for advertising, you're competing for recruiting team members, whatever. So I'm so fascinated with that because I guess, is it that there's enough deals to go around? And at the end of the day, a more exceptional real estate community is going to help everybody?
And, I didn't mind you working with one of my competitors because I knew him. And I thought, it's guys like him that's going to raise the level of service and knowledge. He's a good guy, and I liked him, and I respected him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there that I don't respect. And I think that, sorry, it's just the truth. And as we grow the amount of good people, I think it's going to push the amount of not so good people out of the business. So let's do this. Let's find a way to make the good people do better.
So what are I have my opinion on this. What are the qualities that make the exceptional agent that you're like, let's all level up together? And then what are the qualities of kind of people that you're like, that makes me look bad?
I think the first thing that really comes to mind when you look at what makes a good real estate agent, do they care about their people? Now, how do you measure that? I think you measure that by, some feedback on people. You can look online to see what people are saying about them. Yeah. But for me, it's my interactions with them. When I talk to an agent, when I talk to someone, what is their deal? Are they, do they only care about, this sounds horrible, they only care about the car that they drive? Sure. How nice their shoes are, and the shirt that they're wearing, or when they talk to you, do they talk about the service stuff? Do they actually talk to you about the stuff that matters to me? That how many people really referred them?
Sure.
How many people think of them as a friend after the fact?
Sure. Is that a part of your recruiting strategy, is like trying to gauge, is this person the right fit for my team and my brand? Or like, I guess, how do you go about doing that? Because your team is growing and it's going to continue to grow. So like, what is that a part of your interviewing?
Yeah, it is. So, I'll teach you some of my tricks and how I do this. So you guys out there listening, if you're going to interview for my team, don't just turn this part off. So one of the questions I ask is, what brings you to real estate? Why is real estate the thing that you believe you should do? Mm-hmm. And if they start mentioning things like, I love houses. Houses are great. I've grown up just really loving, the architecture, and I go down the streets and the houses are all $1 million and $3 million. I just love that sort of thing. To me, it's like, turn off.
Sure. Why?
Because they're thinking houses and dollars.
Yeah. And
houses and dollars come to those who care about people. Mm-hmm. See, if they start thinking, hey, you know what, we bought a house before, my parents bought a house, my friends bought a house, and it went horribly, and I thought there's a way we could do things better. If they start talking about their experiences,
sure,
it immediately makes me understand that they're concerned about the people,
sure,
not just about the product.
So I bought a condo about 1.5 years ago, and that's the thing that always kind of stands out, is like, specific to owning a home, it's the most important decision of your life outside of marriage thing. But like, that was a decision that I was unfamiliar with. I had all this anxiety, I had all these fears, and thinking about how can you all in the industry help people overcome that anxiety and that fear, and how do you educate them? And you and I did the show the other day where we talked about, like, your role is slowly becoming similar to what a wealth manager does. A wealth manager typically is somebody that I work with, like, every month or every quarter and something of that sort. But buying a home is typically like every 7 years.
Right.
So how do you maintain that relationship over time to truly become or act as that wealth manager related to earning money from your home?
That is always the big question. But there's a really easy answer to that. And that's that, see, if you were that salesperson who cares about the house, once they buy the house, you're done.
Sure.
But when you were that advisor who cares about the people, when I get done, they're my friend.
Sure.
So it's easy for me to keep track of them because I'm keeping track of them. They're keeping track of me throughout the years.
Yeah.
My chances of having someone buy a home for me and then sell it with someone else is so slim. Almost everybody that does business with me once does it with me again.
When you so I say I want to sell $1 million homes and I want to get the big commission and I want to work like from home or wherever, like how do you basically teach that new agent to follow your pedigree, your success level? When you're selling 100 homes solo, like that's crazy to me. So how do you teach somebody to maybe sell 6 homes a month? When you're doing your training, is it you're super hands-on at the beginning? Is it just accessibility? Is it you have like a bunch of training stuff that you've already built? Like, I guess how did you get the reputation of a guy that is exceptional at training people?
I think that you get a reputation for that by having people that come to your program and they're successful, right? Mm-hmm. And their success proves to the world that what you do actually works. And it proves to me. If it doesn't work, if my agents aren't selling houses, then I need to change something. So I'm not as worried about everybody else as I'm worried about me and the guys who are working for me.
Yeah.
Is it working or is it not?
So that there's like when I was leading sales teams, I always told my team, like, worry about what you control, which is you. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really ever fearful of the other people that I was competing against, because at the end of the day, like, if I am more prepared and more detail oriented and more structured and I use data to like drive what I'm doing, I'm not really fearful of anybody else beating me because I can control my effort and my output as long as I do those things. How do you think of like the entire industry? Like, is there enough training? Is there enough hands-on kind of coaching and development? Obviously, there's a ton of coaches, but from the standpoint of the new agent that comes in, how do they become the next Robert Ott?
There's a reason why 5% of the agents make it. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why, and that's because we're doing such a horrible job of teaching people how to make this into a living.
Sure.
And so they end up going out there trying to make it work, working as an Uber driver or working as a restaurant, trying to make ends meet, and then it never happens. I think the real question here, and I get where you're going at, but the real question here is, do the brokerages care? Do the brokerages care? Is it really more just about getting people in, throwing them against the wall and seeing who sticks, and the ones who don't stick, kick them out when they're not producing, have them sell homes to their family members and their friends, take a bunch of their commission, and then when they get out, say, see ya, and then get the next batch in?
So that has to do with like caps and the structure of the brokerage.
That's it. That's one of the problems, I think, with real estate today, is that the structure of the brokerage is meant to fail.
Sure.
Their idea is to get you in, get as much money as they can out of you, and then see ya.
You just recently made a big shift in your business. You decided to join Compass.
Yes, I did.
You were at Remax before, and you just recently joined Compass. I guess I'd love to have you kind of walk me through like how that went down, and I guess what was the thought process when you're making such a big move?
Well, it's important to note that I'm not throwing anyone under the table. I think there's brokerages for everybody, and there's different models for everybody, right? Sure. Compass came calling, and Compass basically said this: we are here to help you as an agent. We look at you as our client, as our customer, and we're going to treat you that way. We're going to treat you better. We're going to give you tools. We're going to give you things to save you money, to give people a better experience. And people are always looking for better experience.
Of course, yeah.
And so I looked at their tools, I looked at their products, and I looked at the help that they provided. And I said, nah, that's what I need to make the next step. Mm-hmm. So joining Compass is helping me to grow exponentially.
So taking it away from real estate, like a little more philosophy on that piece. You think about change, and you think about these kind of like transformative moments in your life where you make a decision to make it's a big swing, right? Mm-hmm. Not specific to real estate, but rather like you obviously talk about like multiple times in your life where you just made these kind of drastic changes, and those were risks. But I guess, what is it that's driving you to continue to do that? Because I think a lot of people struggle with this kind of concept of should I or shouldn't I do it? And I think of the Robert Frost poem, like the road less traveled. Typically, the road less traveled it's going to be harder, maybe here, but long term it's going to be better for you. I guess I'd love to hear your thoughts, like philosophically, on that.
Well, I'm weird. I mean, I'll admit it. I'm weird. I'm always, when people are zigging, I'm the one who's zagging. I do things differently than other people. I got into real estate because I was looking for a way of making money that the harder I worked, the more money I could make, right? And when I got into real estate, my friends and relatives told me, Rob, don't do it. I said, why? Why shouldn't I do it? I think I would be good at it. They said, no, you're not that bubbly partier, you know.
Wait, you're not bubbly?
No, especially back then I was Mr. Conservative. I was quiet. And they said, you should never do this. And so it told me, I need to do this. I'm always looking at doing something different. The reason why I like to work for myself is because I don't want someone to sit me in a chair and say, Rob, do the same thing every day.
Sure. And
then at the end of so many years, we'll give you something. I just didn't like that. So I'm always looking to do something new and fresh and to grow and to help more people. That's my thing. And
we always end up back there, it seems, for you, and talk about like purpose, helping people. And it's not just the buyers and the sellers or the people that are like, creating family and history and memories. It's the people on your team. And then scaling that outward. Is there a driver for you more on the personal level? Like, is that just innately who Robert Ott is, or is there something else? I'll give you myself. I don't know why this is, but I've always I have a chip on my shoulder, and if I don't have that chip, then I create a chip because I use that as a driving force to continue to kind of test my boundaries and my limits. I think that's probably because I'm the youngest of three boys. For you, what is the thing? Is it family? Is it something happened? I don't know. I'm just curious.
That's a great question. That's a question no one's ever asked me before. So nice job, young man. Yeah. Well, I grew up, in a very poor family. We didn't have anything. My dad left us when we were very young, and we had nothing. And so when I was very young, I used to try to do things to be able to create money to help me be able to get things that I wanted or I thought that I needed. And so I just created this thing in me where I'm always taking care of myself, and I'm always taking care of the people that are around me. It kills me when someone doesn't make it. It kills me when people don't succeed. I hate it when people fail. I want people to do well. I want people to be able to live the life that they deserve.
Your reaction there is very much of what a good leader should say. You should genuinely care about the people that are on your team. You should have this, your heart should be bold and big, and it should say, I take it personal that person didn't succeed. And I remember with the teams that I used to lead, again, we talked about it earlier, but I hired the person. So that's a representation of me as my judgment. But then too, did I do everything in my power to help them succeed? Are leaders made, or do they develop into it, or is there not the right answer there?
I'm a leader because of necessity.
Okay.
I'm a leader because of necessity, because I see the only way that I'm going to get to where I need to be is to take a bunch of people with me.
Sure.
Right? And I always look at it like this. You want to know if you're a leader? Look behind you. There's people following you, you're leading. If there's nobody behind you, guess what? You're not leading. You're just yelling out orders or something. So I'm always looking to see, are people following me? Are they doing the things I need them to do? And if they're not, then I'm probably doing something wrong. I need to change up. I need to go back and get them.
The concept of you're born into a situation. I was born to Iowa. I get made fun of for being from Iowa, and you don't control that. I guess, how does that shape who you are? And you talked about it, there was that thing for you that was driving you. That place is just the starting point, and you talked about where you want to go. So I guess the question is twofold. Where do you want to go? And that's why you're building the teams, because you need to get there. But how do you also kind of navigate this thing of not everyone is in the same place? How do you achieve more faster and have a better end result?
When you get that figured out, come on, John, talk to me about that. So my end goal is to have some satellite offices, and to be able to be in to have a school where I can train people, and they can be consistently trained, consistently made better. So when people say, where did you get your information from? Where did you learn from? When they say they got it from my school, everyone thinks that's where I should be going. I think that the idea is to have such a reputation, have such a following, that it's the people that have learned my way that will take over the real estate world. That's kind of the long-term vision, and it kind of sounds weird and corny, but that's me. I think that I do real estate in a way that's good.
Sure.
I'm not perfect. I'm first to admit that. But I think that our way is much better than the way that's out there.
I mean, and I've always been really curious with this model. People are they always open offices in these places where they don't even live as their second.
Yeah.
And maybe if I was going to move to a city, then I could basically duplicate what I did in the past city. But why do people strategically?
I think that it has to be different than that. And I don't think I could just say, hey, I'm going to open up a satellite office in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody over there. How's that going to work?
It's cold.
Right? It's cold out there. I'm not moving there.
Do you like hockey?
I don't mind hockey.
So Seattle's getting a team in 2 years.
And I'll go to the games.
I have tickets.
You're taking me there.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah, we'll make sure that happens. I'll make sure that happens. I know where you live now. Satellite offices, I think they should happen more organically, right? You see a need, you have one of your people that is trained, they know the systems, and they have the same goal, the same ambition you do, and you open it up to them, and it becomes kind of their puppy.
Sure.
Right? I think that's the way it has to be. For you to just say, hey, my next one's going to be in this town, any town, USA, I think then what you have is just a franchise.
That's so hard, because it's hard to control. When I think of the teams that I built, it's not you want to be able to control not in the I am the manager and I have to make the decisions, but when you're doing things as important as representing your brand and your service levels and your negotiation and your training, you want to be able to control that.
Yeah.
And I think you and I talked about this once, that there's a movie with Michael Keaton, and it's talking about McDonald's, and there was all these franchise or companies around the country that were building hamburger joints, but there was this one, I believe it was in Illinois, where they created a system, and Michael Keaton came in and he's we should duplicate this everywhere.
Yeah.
The founders, I think that's what it's called actually, they didn't like they didn't want to do that because they wanted to make sure that the same quality was happening all over. And eventually they figured that out, but it didn't come with I guess against, there's a lot of bad things that happen as they tried to do that.
You're talking about something that every real estate agent goes through when they start to do some business.
Yeah.
And they're going to hire their first assistant.
Let me interrupt you really quick.
Yeah.
Why does everyone hire assistants? So for context, like I could run a team or lead a team of 300 people.
Yeah.
I never had an assistant, and obviously I was at Zillow. Like, assistant doesn't happen until you're running an organization of like 800 people. But for whatever reason, in real estate, it's like
you have to. It's different. It's different.
So tell me.
So when you are really busy in real estate, you're not in the office.
Sure.
So when you hire yourself an assistant because you need someone to be at the office to return your emails, to call you when something is important, because you can't always be on your phone looking at your emails, looking at your text. You need someone to be able to do that.
Yeah.
When you need to have that inspection response turned back in,
sure, you
need someone to do that. Otherwise, you got to stop at a library or to Starbucks and do that. And your idea is to keep doing the most important things at the time.
Yeah.
You can just relay that information to someone, and then they can.
So assistant is like the term, but it's really like it's an operations person that is helping you manage that back end to basically allow you to sell more homes, and then they do the things that are more like duplicatable, and they're not, I guess, as much client facing.
That is exactly right. That's exactly right. That's why they have to do it.
One of my former bosses is brilliant advice. He always talked about scaling thyself, and I remember when I was like early in my career, I didn't understand it. And really what that means is like what mechanisms, measures, and kind of operational support can you put in place so that you can focus on going forward, not on like kind of being stuck in the mud. And so I think of like scaling thyself as basically being willing to give up some of the control. But when you give up the control and things don't work, that's not a byproduct of the person screwing up. It's actually a byproduct of you not being prepared and putting the stuff in place to not allow it.
It's always tough to get to that spot where you're trying to get bigger, you're trying to conquer your world, whatever you're trying to do.
I can't like go through this without really getting the true story of Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo?
There's no way I was not going to bring this up.
No, Scooby-Doo is the dog. He's the dog, all right. So you bring that up because the first time I met you face to face, we met at a restaurant and I pulled out Scooby-Doo wallet. Scooby-Doo wallet is a 25-cent wallet that my son bought for me at that Safeway off there. They had this clearance rack, you go in there and they have this stuff that's really expired and everything. And he found that and he bought that for me. And anyone who knows my son knows that's a big deal. My son has autism.
Okay.
And he does not think of others. I mean, it's the definition of autism is self, right? You become self-consumed. And so for him to buy that for me was pretty crazy.
Sure.
And he presented it to me, and he gave it to me, and I'm thinking, what am I doing with a Scooby-Doo wallet? I just got a brand new, really nice leather one, right? It's a really nice leather one. Just put all my stuff in there like a week before. But there's no way in the world I'm going to let this kid down. I mean, it's my boy. I got to make sure he feels good. So I start putting my stuff in there, and sure as heck, everything fits. Thinking, all right, well, we're going to use the Scooby-Doo wallet.
How long have you had that?
Aaron is 16, and he got it for me when he was probably 4 or 5.
That is fantastic.
And
I knew there was a bigger story there.
But people say, Rob, why do you still have this Scooby-Doo wallet? It's because it has become such a topic. And I go places and I pull out my Scooby-Doo wallet and they're like, Scooby-Doo! Scooby-Doo's awesome because he's not Democrat, he's not Republican, he doesn't care about anything, he just cares about Scooby snacks, right? Let's get the bad guys.
What about Scrappy?
Scrappy's not the same. He's got a different voice. He's a troublemaker.
I was a fan of Scrappy.
It's because you're a troublemaker. That's the deal. He represents you. I'm Scooby. And Scooby is just a fun-loving dude who just goes out there and tries to get the bad guys.
That was a really good cartoon growing up. My house, my parents would let us, in the morning before school, we would eat breakfast, and they'd let us do it in the living room on the floor. So my brother was 2 years older, and we would put a blanket down, and then we would watch Scooby-Doo in our pajamas eating our cereal. So the Scooby-Doo thing, there's a history there for me. Yours is far better.
Well,
okay, so here's a question I like to ask people because I think it tells a lot about your personality. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Oh, geez. I have to admit, I did not watch the Ninja Turtles.
I'm going to describe the four turtles, and then you tell me.
Like Angelo, Miguel, and I forget what they are. Yeah.
Michelangelo.
That's it. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes.
And then there's Donatello, and then there's Leonardo, and then there's Raphael. So I asked my nephew this, and he just got into Ninja Turtles. He's been big on cars, and I was really proud. When we went to Italy for a wedding, he's like, he calls me Junkle, so John Uncle. Merged. It's a great name.
I like that.
So he's like, Junkle, I like the Ninja Turtles, and we watched it on the plane together. But I really wanted to know who was his favorite turtle because I thought it was going to tell me about his personality. Donatello is the purple one, and he's like always like creating gadgets. Like he's always got like he just builds computers basically. Yeah. Then you have Leonardo, who is like the natural born leader. That cares about like everyone and is like supposed to be thinking about the next step and where things are going, and he's basically like, let's say, the oldest brother. Then you have Mikey, who's the orange one, and he likes pizza and he just likes to have fun. Then you have Raphael, and Raphael's like, he's the strongest, is a little bit of a hothead, a little aggressive at times. So who would be your favorite?
I like Raphael. Raphael is the most fun to watch, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I might be that leader type, but I still find myself liking to be. Everyone wants to be a little bit different than they are. I think, right?
That concept of like you want to be something different sometimes. We each had two, so I bought two of them, and then he bought two of them, and then we had the whole set. My two was Leonardo, so like the leader guy, and then Michelangelo, the person who likes to have fun.
Yeah, okay.
I think about like my own personal life, that's always kind of been what I try to do as well. So if you have two, who are the two?
I'm certainly not the inventor guy. You know, I like inventions and I like technology and that sort of thing. I just don't like to be the one who invents it. I don't want to be that guy. And I do like to have, I like to have fun, don't get me wrong. But I don't want to be that guy that's always out. I don't want to be known or thought of as that one. So I'm going to have to say karate dude and the leader guy.
So the hothead and the leader.
Yeah. And that's because hotheads are always fun to watch, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So my little nephew, he said Raphael as well.
He did.
And I love him to death. But he told, and I'm like, all right, I know it'd be a little rough, and that's fantastic.
My mother didn't watch a lot of TV. I think I got my thing from her. She used to listen to a lot of music. She listened to music all the time.
Yeah, you still play, right?
Yeah, I still play. I was trying to find my way when I was younger, trying to find something to keep me occupied. And then music became a thing that I really liked to do. And so I played the violin for like 3 or 4 years. I hated every minute. I played the violin. It just wasn't me, man. It wasn't. My mom really wanted me to do it, so I did it. And then I finally talked her into me not doing it. And so she said, go to class and I'll get you an instrument. And she got me a clarinet. She rented a clarinet or whatever.
Right.
And I looked at that thing and I said, I'm going to beat somebody with this thing. I just don't want to play the clarinet. That's it. That's Raphael. It's coming out of me. And then, and teacher, she was awesome. I wish I remember her name. I was in probably 4th grade or something. She handed me a pair of drumsticks.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I've been playing drums ever since, and just I really enjoy doing it. It gets me kind of I don't know. It helps me relax.
Were you trained? Like, did somebody teach you, or did you have that gift to like just pick them up and go?
I never was formally trained. I took some training in high school.
Okay.
They had a drum instructor there. It was pretty good, and that helped out. I played in drum and bugle corps, but mostly I just liked to play, so I just would play all the time. People would ask me to play for their gigs, and I played for everything. I played for symphonies. I played for orchestras. I played for rock bands and country bands. I played classical. I just liked to play.
What do you play now if you have a choice?
If I had a choice, I like a lot of the 60s and 70s rock.
Okay.
That stuff is always fun. I play a lot of Christian music.
Because my brother, he picked up drums at like 24, 20, maybe a little earlier, like 21, 22, maybe. Yeah. And he just like picked him up and was able to just start playing. And then I think it's my little nephew was like 2 years old, and they bought him a drum kit.
It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Yeah, they might be so tired of hearing those noises. By the time he turns like 5 or 6, he's never going to be able to get a drum set.
Yeah, my brothers both got to play music. My dad, because my brothers didn't actually go forward with it, he actually told me I couldn't.
Oh, really?
Which I was happy with that. I didn't want to. I'm not musical at all.
Yeah. I have a hard time carrying a tune. That's not my deal. I'm never going to be a singer. That's not me. I
was going to ask you to sing a song for us.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I'm happy to do that. No. I still love to play. I got some good buddies that I play churches with and some youth groups, and we play in some prisons. As a matter of fact, this coming weekend I'm playing in one.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's like a full-on set, so you're playing a bunch of...
So when I play in a prison, I play on electronic drums. It is the coolest thing.
Cool.
It's about as big as a snare drum. It's got all these really cool things that you can hit on there, and I can program it any way I want to.
Wow.
When you play in a prison, you can only bring in so much stuff, and it's hard. Man, you got to carry everything in on you. Everything's got to be checked, and drums are just too hard. So it has this electronic thing, and it is the bomb. It is. I can do anything on that thing. It is nice and it's light.
So technology is taking over the music game.
I hate to say that, but it is. Yeah, it is.
Let's pivot then. Let's pivot there. Technology as it relates to real estate.
Technology is it's finding its place in real estate.
So I had somebody actually text me yesterday, and they said, like, they were talking about disruption, and I hate that term because it's like what everyone says. You always talk about disruption, and
yeah.
What they basically said was, why don't more real estate agents try to disrupt their market by being this kind of massive differentiator? Uh-huh. And my response is like, what do you mean? Like, you can't just throw out these big words of disruption and differentiation without actually saying, this is what I would do if I were in that situation.
Yeah.
So I guess when you think about the disruption happening in tech, like, how do you segment the disruption in the industry? Is it by the way commissions are paid? Is it the resources? Is it that iBuyer stuff? Like, I spend a lot of time reading about this. I'm so fascinated with it. I've never seen an industry that has so many like ideas.
Yeah.
And everyone's taking like a kind of a different approach, but everyone thinks they're right.
I'll say it this way. In a market that's booming, everything works. Everything works. You throw anything out there and you're going to catch fish. This is the way it is. What I see in my mind is that in 3 to 5 years, it is going to be different. I'd say that a lot of the traditional brokerages that we see are going to fall to the wayside. They're not going to be near as big or powerful as they were. I think that there's going to be bigger players that come up that are better able to support the agent, better able to control the expenses that an agent has. That's something we haven't even talked about, is how it's expensive to be in real estate. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their hand out. Everyone's trying to get money from you. Everybody. Yesterday I had 6 calls from people trying to find a way to get in my pocketbook. They get me spend money on their stuff.
What were they selling you? What was it?
Everything from everybody you can possibly imagine. Everyone from Zillow to some company that said their lease that they can give you 15% of them are converted, and I'm thinking
15% conversion.
15% conversion.
Wow.
Is like $699 a month, and they'll give you 40 leads. I'm thinking, oh, that's a great deal. You must be a liar.
Wait, so you're gonna convert 6 deals a month in Seattle because that's 15%
after what they did
for $700.
It's a screaming deal, right?
Whoa!
So that's what I told him. I said, "You really serious? 15%? Well, one thing I can tell is you're a liar." He's like, "What do you mean I'm a liar?" I said, "No, it just doesn't happen."
Wait, what was the rebuttal? So let's role play real quick.
Just give me a name and a phone number of some agent I can look up, and I'm going to figure out what that is.
What do you do with all the phone calls? Because there is a million vendors, and most are. It's not like self-service. It's actually somebody calling. How do you deal with that? Like, your wife probably gets mad, right?
How do you find my number?
Your number's everywhere.
No, it's come on. I try to get that, so it goes to my assistant. Your favorite term. That's my assistant, office manager, but it just doesn't go there. So a lot of times I'll just have them talk to my marketing manager. She can, if it makes any sense at all, just have to talk to my marketing manager. She'll make a phone call to see if it makes any sense, and then I'll be the one that tells them go away, or we'll take a look at it further.
Talk about like the expenses of a real estate agent. There's like the just the overhead of running the business, but then there's the marketing expense. How do you all decide on what the marketing and operational expenses are going to be related to every single person calling you?
I tell you, a lot of agents struggle with that. And then I struggle with it too, right? When you're in the idea of growth, you have to spend money. And when you go into growth mode, you bring on new agents. Okay, new agents aren't going to convert like a seasoned agent is, right?
Yeah.
So you are going to, your proportions are going to be off. Your ratios are going to be off until they become someone who can actually convert for you.
Sure.
So, you'll see a lot of businesses, they say that they don't want to spend any more than 10% on marketing. That's kind of what I learned going to college is 10% is the number. But you'll see a lot of us spending, 30% of your revenue. And so much of that is on marketing that doesn't work. Wow. So that's why it's important to track and measure, man. A coach tells me, Rob, track and measure. So that's what we're doing now,
Yeah.
right? That's what we're doing, we're tracking and measuring.
Yeah. Like the data for me was always a thing that I don't want to make tough decisions, or I don't want to have to make decisions all the time when I could put data behind it that literally guides me. The data for me was always something that made it easier for me to like quickly move and also, I guess, to be smarter with what it is that I was doing. I'm always geek out on the data. So I think we're gonna wrap up. Rob Ott, Compass, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a pleasure. This is the None Size Fits All podcast. We're gonna be interviewing and collaborating with lots of people in the industry and people that are not in the industry. It's really just about storytelling and talking with good people that hopefully can provide value to the world. So thanks, Robert.
Thank you, sir. Great to see you again.
Likewise.
Hey, take care.